Here. Ward.
Here.
Olson.
Here. Next thing, I'd ask you to join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and again, welcome. Next thing on our agenda is a presentation. Sorry about that, Mayor, that had to broadcast from the parking lot, but I'm glad we got you figured out here anyway. I happened to have my phone here and I saw your name and I thought, I probably should answer that one. So we're going to have a presentation about the Brainerd Community Action 4th of July celebration. So Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. And yeah, my confusion, I got here, the door was locked and I thought, uh-oh. I didn't set up enough time to do an emergency phone call to find the Zoom link. So I am broadcasting to you from my car in the parking lot. So thank you guys for having me. Yeah, we just wanted to give you guys an update super fast about community action and what's going to be happening this year for the 4th of July. When we had sent in the letter to you, we still hadn't fully adjusted what our day would look like or what our program would look like on the 4th. And since then, since we've had the opening up from the governor and the lowering of the restrictions, we've made a couple adjustments and we've made some decisions. So this year we will be moving forward with the 4th of July parade as an actual full-on parade. We had been making progress in coming up with what was referred to as an unparade or a reverse parade. And we believe now that with the restrictions being lifted, we should be able to have the actual full-on parade. So that will be taking place at 6 p.m. on the 4th of July. Traditionally, we've done it at 4 p.m. We decided to push it back a little bit to try and allow people the ability to come and then maybe just stay through the fireworks if they need, because we're not having any type of entertainment or anything because of the COVID restrictions that were in place. Last year, if you guys remember, we shot the fireworks off and we shot them a little bit different. We shot them up as high as we possibly could. We got rid of the low fireworks so that people could watch from afar. And we had really good feedback from the citizens of both Brainerd and Baxter about that. I actually heard people tell me that they were able to watch the fireworks from White Sand Lake. So that was something that we thought was pretty impressive, and we were really happy about that. We are going to do the same thing again this year with the fireworks. Our goal is to just shoot them off as high as humanly possible. We are going to have the ability for people to be on site at the high school again. However, because of the fact that some people may still be concerned or want to have the ability to be socially distanced, we think it's important to still try and shoot them off as high as we possibly can, so that the citizens of both Brainerd and Baxter can participate from whatever locations they think that they can see them from. So, and as far as I'm concerned, that's probably the way we're going to do it moving forward, as long as I'm in charge of the fireworks. I think it worked out really well. We had really good feedback about that, and we'd like to continue forward with that. There will be some restrictions on the high school site because of the construction. As a lot of you know, South Campus is going to be having a large portion of that removed, and there's still going to be a lot of work happening with the pool and parts of the North Campus at the high school. So because of that, we're essentially going to be drawing a line at the tennis courts. And if you envision that line going north, people will be able to be to the west of that, which means potentially the football field and grandstands and the grass areas along that. The hill area, which people enjoy so much, we will more than likely have blocked off this year, just for safety reasons for that construction. So we do really believe strongly that the fireworks and the parade are the two biggest parts of the 4th of July for people. It's not just about having a celebration with friends and family, but it does mean a lot for families with military and families that potentially have lost people from the military. The 4th of July means a lot to those families. And so as an organization, we feel very strongly that we want to be able to put on an event that is very responsible for that and gives the ability to kind of celebrate those moments. So do you guys have any questions about anything? It's very weird. I'm just holding my phone in my car.
Well, you're coming through loud and clear, so it's working well.
Council, all right, good.
Council, any comments or questions for?
I have no questions. My comment is I'm glad to see things moving ahead this year, and I think everyone's going to be excited and willing to participate. So good luck with everything.
Thank you. Yeah, continue.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say we expect there to be a pretty good turnout this year, but because of the parade route being as long as it is in Brainerd as well, we do think that we should be able to do it pretty safely.
That was kind of my question, Mayor, and I echo Councilman Cross's comments on it's so important to our whole area, but it's important to the whole state of Minnesota that we I think we're called the 4th of July capital of the nation or something, or state or whatever.
Well, for sure of Minnesota.
Yeah. So, is the parade route the same? Is it going to be the same as it has been in the past? And how many units are going to be in it?
So we're kind of scrambling right now in terms of what the count will be. We're finally reaching out to people right now. And one of the things that we're working on this year is the theme is the sesquicentennial of Brainerd. So we're trying to reach back to the history of the area. And one of the things we're working on is trying to group nonprofits with businesses to try and have a little bit more bang for the buck. One of the things we found is that nonprofits have the workforce, if you will, the volunteers that are available on the 4th of July, but they often don't have the financial aspect in order to put on a float for the parade. And the opposite is true from businesses. A lot of businesses have the desire to participate financially to the parade, but having their employees the day of on the 4th can be a struggle. So what we're trying to do this year is group up businesses with nonprofits and have the businesses sponsoring floats for the nonprofits, and then trying to have that theme of the history of the area. And so it'll be interesting to see where we end up. I think our total count might be down a little bit just because of the time frame, but I think the quality of the floats this year is going to be pretty fun and impressive. In terms of the actual parade route, yes, it is that same loop around the high school. There will be a little bit of area by the high school that we'll have to be careful with. But for the most part, that should give us plenty of space to space things out.
Just to comment on Brainerd's history, this year is also the Brainerd Lions Club 100th anniversary. And I believe that we're the second oldest Lions Club in the state.
I believe that's what I was told, yes.
Anybody else? Well, it's always a good time. It's always exciting. Our kids grew up with it, and we have relatives that come back from literally the 3-state area to be a part of it. And so it's had a lot of great memories, and we look forward to that continuing. So thanks for your work and also your board that shares that responsibility and direction too. We appreciate their work also. So
yeah, thank you. I just want to say super fast that the decision to move forward was a difficult one. And up until the governor's loosening of the restrictions, we felt very strongly that it was our responsibility to make sure that if we were hosting the event, people would be trusting that it's safe. And so therefore we needed to make sure that it was a situation that could be done safely. So we're happy that we're able to move forward, and we're going to try and do so in as safe of a manner as we possibly can.
very good. Well, thanks for being persistent, even if it's from the parking lot. And for
You made it.
For being with us tonight. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Administrator, any additions or changes to the agenda?
There are none, Mayor.
Any public comments?
We received none.
Okay, we're going to start this consent agenda. I'm going to need a Gatorade and an oxygen tank, I think, here to get through it, but we'll do the best we can. The consent agenda. The following items are considered non-controversial by staff and are recommended to be read and passed in one motion. Any council person, staff, citizen, or meeting attendee can request one or more items be pulled from the consent agenda, and the item will be pulled and addressed immediately after the passage of the consent agenda. Otherwise, the following items will be passed in one motion. A, approve city council work session minutes from May 4th, 2021. B, approve city council minutes from May 4th, 2021. C, approve city council special minutes from May 13th, 2021. D, approve the payment of bills and finance report. E, approve appointment of to seasonal position of park attendant. F, accept utilities commission minutes from May 5th, 2021. G, approve the Avantech development agreement. H, approve the Avantech stormwater facilities maintenance agreement. I, approve the Avantech limited use agreement. J, approve the Jimmy John's development agreement. K, approve the Jimmy John's stormwater facilities maintenance agreement. L, approve of the Jimmy John's limited use agreement. M, approve the Retail Partners Baxter LLC development agreement subject to the conditions recommended by the Utilities Commission. And adopt the microchlor startup standard operating procedure. O, approve the revised sewer availability charge appendix A for SAC criteria for commercial properties. P, approve the SEH proposal for professional services to update City Code Title 8, Chapter 2, Sewer Use and Service 8-2-1 through 8-2-16 in the not to exceed amount of $17,500. Q, approve the 20-year lift station maintenance plan. R, approve the quality flow equipment proposal for lift station number 14 improvements project in the amount of $57,400. S, accept MnDOT speed study on Isle Drive in Baxter, Minnesota between County State Aid 48 and Essentia Health. T, approve resolution 2021-029 approving a conditional use permit for grading more than 10 cubic yards in a shoreland overlay district in relation to shoreland restoration improvement project for property located at 14266 Memorywood Drive. You approve resolution 2021-028 approving a conditional use permit for grading, filling of greater than 10 yards of material in a shoreland overlay district in relation to a riprap shoreline restoration project for property located at 5789 Sandstone Road. V, accept planning and zoning commission minutes from May 11th, 2021. W, approve a special event permit from North Memorial Ambulance. X, approve purchase of pictometry aerial imagery. Y, approve City of Baxter Parks and Trails priority lists. For a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Licio, second by Cross. Roll call?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Licio,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Excuse me. Number 9, other business. 9A, a continuation of the TIS districts 5 and 8 public hearing. We started that last meeting and then tabled it until tonight. So I'll turn it over to you, Jeremy, to bring us up to date there.
Thank you, Your Honor and Counsel. As you mentioned, Your Honor, this is a continuation of the public hearing that we initially noticed at the last meeting on May 4th. With this continuation, I'll just go through a quick PowerPoint presentation of what we're proposing to do here and the purpose of the public hearing for the 2 tax increment financing districts. And then upon completion of that, I'd recommend opening the public hearing if there are any public comments related to the proposed modifications to the 2 TIF plans for the 2 TIF districts before considering adopting of the 2 resolutions. I'm going to share my screen here. Well, I got this right. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So as I mentioned, there's two tax increment districts that we're proposing. They're both housing districts. TIF District 5, which is the Arbor Glen Senior Apartments complex. Both of them are located just north of Excelsior Road. And then the second one, Arbor Glen 2, which was the second phase that was developed in that area. TIF District 5, or Arbor Glen, as I mentioned, is a housing district. We first certified that housing district in 2001. Housing districts do have a 29-year useful life, so the required decertification date for TIF District 5 is 2029. The existing budget that we had implemented back in 2001 was a little over $1.1 million for TIF District 5. The activity that occurs in this TIF district is a development agreement with a developer, and it's in the form of a pay-as-you-go note to finance some of the affordable housing in that complex. Of the complex's 65 units, 20% or 13 units are currently being set aside as affordable housing for seniors in that facility who have 50% or lower of the median income in Crow Wing County. Similarly, TIF District 8, our Arbor Glen 2 project, is also a housing district. That housing TIF district was certified in 2007 with a required decertification date of 2033. The current TIF plan budget is just short of $800,000. Also a TIF developer pay-as-you-go note, where currently 10 of the 50 units, or also 20%, are currently being set aside as affordable senior housing. So in 2019 and 2020, we negotiated extensions of the tax increment assistance through TIF notes to the developer. It was $320,000 for TIF District 5 and a little over $360,000 for TIF District 8 to continue those affordable units that I mentioned earlier in both of those buildings. In addition to that, with the Arbor Glen TIF District 5, the developer and the city negotiated trail improvements that connected the development to the Paul Bunyan Trail through an assessment agreement. Along with that, both housing districts provided the opportunity to continue to utilize some of the excess tax increment that's being generated beyond the TIF notes for the two projects for other city eligible housing activities. And that'll be done more on a pay-as-you-go basis. As that increment comes in, the city will have some of that extra increment available beyond the 60% that's being rebated back to the development in both cases. For other housing eligible activities that meet the statutory requirements of tax increment housing projects. So first, with tax increment district number 5, the Arbor Glen Senior Housing Project, as I mentioned earlier, a little over about a $1.1 million existing budget. Based on the projections, just looking at tax increment, that would take us through the end of the certification or life of the district. We would have approximately $1.78 million of tax increment and interest revenues that would be available to utilize, not only to pay that existing pay-as-you-go note that's outstanding, but also for other eligible housing activities. Similarly, for TIF District 8, we had about a little shy of like I mentioned, $800,000 TIF budget. With the proposed modification, it would just be short of $1.9 million that would be available to the city to continue to pay that TIF note to the developer, as well as utilize for other eligible housing activities in the city as that increment becomes available. So as I alluded to earlier, the next steps in that process, we are required to hold a public hearing because we are modifying the TIF plan for both districts in the form of modifying the budgets. So we're required to hold the public hearing, which is what we're doing with the continuation tonight. Upon completion of that continuation of the public hearing, the staff recommendation is to consider adoption of resolutions 32 and 33, which would approve modifications to those two TIF plans for TIF districts 5 and 8 respectively. And then upon completion of that, we would amend file the amended modifications with the Department of Revenue, State Auditor's Office, as well as Crow Wing County. That's kind of my written or prepared comments, I guess, with that. I would recommend opening the public hearing if there are any questions from the council or the public, I guess, in consideration to the modifications for the two housing districts.
You need a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes, please.
So moved.
A motion by Cross,
Second.
second by Ward. Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes, we'll open the public hearing at 7:21. Council, first of all, any comments from you or questions about what's being proposed here?
My only comment would be, I think it's important to maintain the as many of the lower income housing units as we can in the city. It seems to have worked out well over the past 20 years, and I think it would be a shame if we were to lose that now.
Oh, and I couldn't agree more.
Is there anybody in the public that is wanting to comment or weigh in on this? Seeing or hearing none, we will close the public hearing at 7:22. And we will do two motions, Jeremy, one on each resolution number. We'll start out with adopt resolution 2021-032. Somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ward,
Second.
second by Cross, I think. Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. And moving right along, adopt resolution 2021-033. Somebody want to make that motion?
You'll make the motion.
By Licio,
Second.
second by Cross. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes, and those pass. Moving on to B, approve resolutions 2021-030, 2021-031, approving the preliminary and final plat of 6th addition to Baxter Industrial Park Phase 3 and conditional use permit amendment for joint access for property located at 7790 Hastings Road. That's you, Josh?
That's me. Okay, so as the mayor said, this is a preliminary and final plat as well as a conditional use permit amendment. The request is specifically to allow the applicant to build an expansion that's approximately 51,000 square feet to the existing Avantech building to allow the Triven business to locate on the same building site as the current Avantech site. And the addition is proposed basically to the north and northeast sides of the current Avantech building. And I'll go through some plans here in just a minute. One of the unique aspects of this request is that there is a plat to create an outlot to the north of their current property. And this outlot is intended to allow the addition to comply with an area separation requirement of the Minnesota State Building Code. Typically, what would happen in a scenario like this, where a property owner buys additional property, is that land would get consolidated into the parcel of land where the building is. However, due to a existing TIF district that's in place in the area, that is not possible. And so the unique aspect of this particular application is to create an outlot of record that would be tied through deed restrictions to the parent parcel where the building is until such time that the TIF district expires in 2026. There's also a condition in the plat resolution that at that time, the property owner would be required to consolidate these two lots together so that they are remain conforming through the duration of time as it relates to the building addition that's proposed. Kind of a lot of information there, but I'll walk you through that in the plans here in just a second. So this is the subject property. on Hastings, Douglas Fir and Dogwood Drive. The building is in the southwest corner of the site. The reason I've shown the building site to the north, that's the Hubbard radio property, is because that property is where the applicant is buying some of the vacant land to the south of the Hubbard radio property as part of the application. This is the preliminary plat, and you can see just south of the Hubbard radio property is Outlot A in this area of the site, and that is the land that would help to basically fit the building addition, meeting the building code area separation requirement that's needed. You can see the building addition that is proposed to the north of the existing building site. There is some parking lot expansions and loading area expansions, both to the south and to the northwest to accommodate the addition. This is the final plat that shows basically the 2 lots going to 3 lots, creating that Outlot A in the middle. This is a site plan showing the proposed expansion. The light gray is the existing parking and drive aisles and existing access locations. All of that would stay the same. The darker charcoal color represents the new pavement areas. So there's a little bit of parking addition shown just south of the new building addition. And also to the northwest, there's an extension of a shared access, and that's actually city property to the north that we share with the property owner. And so part of that request is the conditional use permit amendment, just to clarify and make current that extension of pavement along the shared property line. Just another site plan here. This is a picture of the existing building. I just wanted to show that the applicant submitted this photo. I think is really helpful to then kind of toggle between the photo of the building and how the colored elevation would look. So the Avantech elevation here, that would all remain the same. And going back to the colored elevation, you can see that in the upper left-hand corner. And you can see the new Tri-Ven building addition that would be on the front of the building facing the parking lot. So as part of the application, the city reviewed the preliminary and final plat application. The application meets the requirements subject to the conditions in the resolution. The outlot does meet minimum lot width and area requirements, even though it is an outlot, which is a unbuildable type of platted property. So everything complies with the ordinance with regard to the plat. We do site plan review as part of these applications, and the application meets basically all of the requirements in the ordinance, with one minor landscaping correction, which is a very minor thing that they will be able to correct. And then the other item is parking, which I'll go into in I think the next slide here. So part of the request that the council is part of the council's consideration this evening is a demonstrated parking plan. The applicant is proposing basically 20 stalls shy of what the ordinance requires for parking. Specifically, the ordinance allows the city council to approve a demonstrated parking plan. And basically that's where the applicant designs the parking needed to comply with the ordinance, shows that on a site plan, but doesn't necessarily build the demonstrated parking right away. And then the city basically through the ordinance can establish a condition that if there's a demonstrated parking issue moving forward, that the property owner would be required to add that parking if it's ever needed. In talking with the applicant's team, you know, they're very aware of the parking that they need, and they're probably expanding more parking as it is than they probably need based on the discussion that occurred at the Planning Commission meeting. So I think the Planning Commission was very comfortable with what was proposed, and staff has also reviewed the demonstrated parking that's on the site plan, which is basically on the bottom right-hand corner, so to the south east of the existing parking lot, as well as some demonstrated parking to the north of the proposed addition to provide that demonstrated parking if in fact it's ever needed in the future. And we have reviewed that and it would comply with the ordinance. So if it's ever needed to be built, it's not like it would need any variances or anything like that. The other portion of the application is a conditional use permit amendment, just to allow that extension of pavement along the north shared property line. The primary area of review here for the city is to have the city attorney look at the cross access and joint easement, just to see if any amendments are needed to that easement, and then just to update the easement documents to reflect the new pavement that's proposed. All that's conditioned in the attached resolutions to occur. The Utilities Commission did review this application on May 5th. All of their conditions have been incorporated to the resolutions and are part of the approval package this evening. Architectural review can occur administratively per the ordinance because they meet the city's standards. And the Planning Commission recommends approval of the preliminary and final plat and conditional use permit subject to the findings and conditions in the attached resolutions. Happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions or comments for Josh?
So
Yep.
Josh,
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, John.
so I want to talk about, or just ask some questions about the 21 parking spots. In my understanding then is that they, that they're plotted, but they're not put in yet. Is there a reason why why they don't want to move forward putting them in right now?
Yeah, I mean, the applicant is here this evening and they could add to that, but I'm pretty sure I know what they would say, at least in general terms. I think property owners generally have the same goals as the city, where you want to make sure there's enough parking, but you also don't want to make sure there's too much and that it's wasteful, because then that increases the impervious surface on the property, the need for stormwater treatment, and it just increases overall costs to the project as well as environmental impacts. So, our ordinances, I think, do a good job of reflecting parking need, but there's absolutely business variation that is more accurate than what our ordinance would have. Each individual business has their own specific needs for parking, and sometimes they just don't need what our ordinance may reflect. There's a lot of automation with their business, which keeps their staffing numbers down per shift, and there's a lot of variables there. But I think they would just say they just don't need that much.
And I appreciate that response and that answer to that. And that was going to lead into my next question about, is it just going to remain green property then? Is it just, there will not be any pavement at all there? It'll just remain?
Correct. It's in the approval as stripes on a site plan unless needed in the future. So it'd be grass.
And so we don't even need to say any kind of a date of when it's when they need it, if they need it. Is that correct?
Right. The attached plat resolution includes a condition that if there is ever a demonstrated parking problem turned into the city, then the city can require the property owner to install those 20 stalls at that time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? The applicant have any questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council. Look for a motion.
I move for approval of this.
Second.
Motion by Tabbitt, second by Ward. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Russ,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabbitt,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Yes.
Olson.
Motion passes. Pretty exciting. Another 50-some thousand square feet of manufacturing in our industrial park, and good jobs, and appreciate the working relationship with our staff too to get that project to where it is today. So that's very exciting. All right, we got a whole ton of easement vacations coming up here, so buckle your seatbelts and we'll head in here. Vacate an easement on lot 17 and 18, block 2 of Westwood Oaks. We will have a public hearing. Open that at 7:36. Anybody here to address that? I'll close it at 7:36:30. Look for a motion to adopt resolution 2021-035.
So moved.
Motion by Cross,
Second.
second by Alessio. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
yes,
Olson.
Yes. And E, vacate an easement on lots 5 and 6, block 1, Austin Meadows. Public hearing on that one. I will open at 7:37. Anybody here to address that? Was there somebody there?
We have a plan of that we can put up.
Yes.
Who said that?
That's me. Just trying to exit out of the, there we go. Yes, I can put up a plan for that one. Okay, so Mayor and Council, this is a request for a easement vacation on Emily Road. The property owner owns the house on 4923 Emily Road, looking to vacate the easements on the westerly property line because they own the land to the west, the vacant lot there. I think their intention is to consolidate the properties to build a detached garage on the vacant lot.
Well, is that an easement we need somewhere else then, or how does it?
No, Mayor and Council. So this is under the category of the lot consolidation portion to basically dissolve that lot line is actually per our ordinance able to be approved administratively. So we have an administrative subdivision application turned in that staff would review. But with the plat, and this is the same situation with basically all the next 3 items on the agenda. In order to remove the standard drainage and utility easements that follows lot lines, there needs to be a vacation process to remove those easements. So after they consolidate that lot, it all becomes one large lot without an easement hanging in the middle.
And I understand that, but why was it there in the first place? Did we need an easement, a drainage easement, or?
Yep, we put drainage easements on our plats as standard drainage and utility easements, typically 5 foot along all side lot lines, and sometimes 10 feet in the front and sometimes 5 in the back. But all plats include a standard easement along lot lines. So presently, where that blue dashed line is a lot line and 5 foot easements on each side. So the proposal is to vacate both the 5 foot on the east and west sides of that lot line. With the easement vacated, then staff will approve the consolidation, and then these 2 lots will become one.
So Josh, just to verify, there still would be a utility and drainage easement around the remainder.
Correct. All the way around the larger property. Once it's consolidated, there still be easements all the way around the perimeter.
Okay.
Correct.
And there's no utilities in it currently, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Josh, for clarification purposes, what's the legal description of the property that you're referring to?
The legal description of the property?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to get out of presentation mode to get that for you. It should be in the packet under the.
I understand that. I just looking for clarification as clearance is I believe that we sidestepped. The mayor referenced this as Austin Meadows, and I think this is Westwood Oaks. Is that correct?
Did I jump?
I think on the agenda we jumped D.
Okay.
So I just want to.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was assuming we were yeah, sorry.
Oh, So
So
just
if
for,
we're on, if we're on Austin Meadows, I'll explain that one too. Are we on Austin Meadows? Sorry.
well, yeah, I think for purposes of the council, I think you can summarize it in the two and we can open up the hearing for, close the hearing for each then.
Okay. All right, Mayor and Council, the Austin Meadows application is very similar to what is proposed with the one I just explained. This is at the cul-de-sac of Austin Road. Again, the blue dashed line, the property owns, in this case, both vacant lots. They are building a new single-family home on the easterly property, and they would like to consolidate the two lots because they would like to propose an accessory use on the westerly lot. And in Baxter ordinance, you know, accessory uses are supposed to be part of a principal use. I think there's interest in putting a swimming pool on the westerly property. So consolidation is required for them to add that improvement. So again, a vacation of 5-foot easements on both sides of that central blue dashed lot line.
Josh, just a question about, to give me some information. I don't think there's not that I know of any potential assessments coming up there. But when we do these easement vacations, does that change assessment? If there's ever an assessment there, does it change assessments based on what the current property lines are?
Good question, Mayor, Council. That question's come up before. We've definitely covered these lot consolidations with the council in past work sessions and discussions, just because your question's very much on point. When we come back for future projects, you know, you're taking two urban lots and making it one. We do assessment agreements to basically put the property owner in check that it still maintains the frontage for two assessed lots. Obviously, we would follow our assessment policy, which factors frontage in most instances for projects, but we take that additional step so that there's clear communication up front what the city's intentions would be with future projects.
Thank you.
I just to follow up, John, that question and discussion came up this afternoon, and it might be something we need to, and I think with the wholesale numbers happening today, it brought it to my mind too. What are we doing here? And we maybe should have that more in-depth conversation again. You know, quite frankly, there are people that are doing it for a specific reason. Swimming pools are doing whatever, but there may also be people doing it for that purpose of making one lot. And so I think that if you just look at the sum total here of what we just did or what we're in the process of doing, it can affect everybody else, to your point, John, later on. And so I think it needs to be relooked at, to be very honest with you. And again, there's legitimacy in some cases, but just to anyway, enough said, I guess.
And Mayor, just to respond to that, you know, we're happy to bring that forward. We obviously track all of these with applications. We can show how many of them come in a year, how many of them involve lot consolidations. And, you know, at a work session, we could, you know, definitely kind of give some of the recent history. We're definitely getting handfuls of them per year, and consolidations seem to be a definite theme. The spirit and intent, and we don't have to get into it into a large discussion, was to always try to have an administrative process for more minor applications, but the consolidation one has always been a question and concern for the reasons that were just outlined regarding density, keeping the city's density, as well as just assessments and all of those things. So happy to bring that back.
Mayor, City Council, I would just add to John's question, there is a project coming up probably in the next 5 to 7 years, and it'll be a mill and overlay on Austin Road. That road will be 20 years old in 2024. So it's going to be due somewhere between 20 and 25 years. It'll be due for a mill and overlay. So it could possibly be due in the next 5 to 7 years.
All right, so we have to backtrack to,
No, Mayor, if you would like, I think we can just have Josh finish out doing the presentation of the remainder of the vacation requests, and then take one motion to approve all of them.
okay. All right, so we got Westwood, we got Austin, now we're on Parkwood.
No, we're on Parkwood, correct. So this is another vacation. This one's a little bit different than the last two. It's not for a lot consolidation, but rather a lot line adjustment. If you look at the aerial photo on this particular area, the blue dash line is not exact as to what where the lot line would be. It's just to show the general idea of what's being proposed. 13053, that house, you can see how it's not exactly parallel to the lot lines. So there's a really tight area getting around the north property. So they've worked with the neighboring property owner just to buy some land and slightly kind of swing that lot line up a bit while keeping the main point of the lot width out towards Knollwood in the same location. Just to give them a little bit more space. The two property owners have worked that out. And so the request is to vacate easements so that lot line adjustment can occur, making their situation between these two property owners better for them.
Okay, thank you. Somebody want to take a stab at getting the numbers in from C, D, E, and F?
Just one question though on that application though. Are they rededicating the 5-foot easement on each side of the new lot line, Josh?
Mayor and council, yes, that would get handled with the lot line adjustment application. So yeah, we'll take care of that part.
Thank
with
you.
the administrative application.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve all three of these vacations.
I think we got 4.
Oh, do
Point
we
of
have?
clarification. Point of clarification, if we could open up the hearing and ask for any comment for those that might be in attendance.
Good point. So is there anybody here from any of those 4 that we just talked about that would like to comment? We would open the public hearing at 7:48. Seeing or hearing nothing, we will close it at 7:48:30. Now we will look for a,
Well, I'll make a different motion then and
okay.
motion for 4 this time.
A motion by Cross to go for all 4.
O'Neill
Point of
second.
Second by List.
Point of clarification, we are referencing that as resolutions 38, 35, 37, and 36, and 34. Is that correct? Or no, 36, sorry.
So how many did you name off? 4?
3, 4. Yes, sorry, yes.
Okay,
It's been a long
Yes.
day. Sorry, Councilmember Cross.
I'll agree with that.
All right. Did you second that, Licio?
I
Okay.
did, yes.
Any more discussion?
We don't need to have a public hearing on each of those, or did we have? I'm a little bit confused, but,
According to the city administrator, according to him, we opened up all 4 of them, I guess, and
okay.
offered it to anybody that might be listening from any of those. And are you
Very
sure
good.
anybody waiting, Kelly, in the waiting room?
No, I don't believe so.
Don't want to leave anybody out. Okay, well, I made a project out of it. Roll call?
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes,
Olson.
Yes. Now, we're in agreement. We're on G. Adopt resolution 2021-034, adopting assessment for the 2021 mill and overlay and full depth reclamation improvements project, municipal improvements number 4421. Any background there? Or we pretty much beat that one to death, or? Any comments, Brad or Trevor?
No, Mayor, you have in the RCA the proposed assessment role, and we're asking you to adopt them by resolution.
Any questions or comments from the council? Look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve a resolution.
Motion by Cross,
Looks like Connie seconded it.
Connie. Okay. 2021-034 for the record. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Abstaining.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. H, adopt resolution 2021-039, accepting the bid for the 2021 mill and overlay and full depth reclamation improvements project, municipal improvement number 4421.
As council is aware, at the assessment hearing last week, we talked about the current conditions within the industry regarding material ordering. And after discussion Friday afternoon, we've included this into the agenda so that we can expedite moving forward with the project. We're asking council to accept the bids that have been presented in the RCA and adopting the resolution 39 to award the project to, I believe it's Knife River.
Correct.
So moved.
Motion by Cross. Second by Licio. Any further discussion? All in favor? Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Abstain again.
Ward,
Yes.
and Olson.
Yes. I think we got everything there, didn't we?
Believe so.
We will move on to council comments. Licio,
I have none at this time.
Mr. Tabit,
I have none.
Mr. Ward,
Nothing.
Mr. Cross.
Holy cow. Everyone enjoy the warm weather and the restrictions being eased, and watch out for motorcycles. They're out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're still babysitting one more night, so continue praying for me. City Administrator.
Just have one item, Mayor. Included in your packet is a memo or RCA from myself regarding the decision made by the state to roll back the COVID restrictions in phases. Phase one was the outdoor with restrictions, which went away on May 7th. The second phase, which is indoor restrictions, is set to expire on Friday, May 28th. With that, there are portions of our COVID operations plan that we are set to suspend after or when we reach the 28th. One of the provisions in our COVID plan is talking about going online or virtual meetings as a step to protect employees, yourselves, and the public during the pandemic. With these rollbacks, that purpose and intent seems to be at a point where that's no longer necessary. And so I've got the time set aside this evening so that we can have discussion about resuming in-person city meetings, and not only for the council, but also for our boards and commissions who have been meeting virtually as well.
Okay, thoughts or comments?
I, for one, look forward to meeting in person again.
Let me just say a couple things on that. The change in the regulations basically were for fully vaccinated people, or people that had at least some vaccination. There's still, in my opinion, there's still some concern there I'm not opposed to meeting in person, but I will probably be masked at that point anyhow. And I think we need to keep it optional for people to wear a mask or not wear a mask or whatever, if they choose to. So there, there's still a virus. There's still, I mean, there was yesterday there was 700 new cases in Minnesota, no deaths, thank the Lord, and less hospitalizations. But I still think we need to be cautious. I agree with Connie that it's a step forward, and we need to do that. We need to do that in society, period, in my opinion. But we still need to be cautious. So I just want to throw that out there. I just want to say, let's still be somewhat cautious, because I'm fully vaccinated, but I don't know if anybody else in here is. And so I will, with all due respect, make sure that I will try to do everything to, make sure that, I don't get someone else ill, because we're still learning about this virus. It's still relatively new. And so I just threw all those out as further discussion.
Others?
I'll just say that I would personally agree with the concept that Councilmember Ward brought up, as far as you're not going to get any kind of guff from me about wearing a mask if that's what is the right choice for you personally, nor am I personally going to be asking anybody about vaccinations. I'll tell you that I'm fully vaccinated, but that's another personal choice I would leave to everybody else as for what they feel comfortable with sharing with others. But I'm open for opening up meetings and following that opening guidance as well.
I'm open for going back to face-to-face meetings. I think it's probably time to do that. And again, I agree, people need to use whatever precautions they feel like they need to use.
I need some, first of all, I agree with everything John said. And I mean, kind of that same camp. I need some clarification though. The rules change hourly, and I try to read them as they come through, but so masks are still required till July 1st. Is that correct? So
Yep. As of this past Friday, based upon the CDC guidance, the governor has removed lifted the mask mandate effective last Friday.
Okay, so, but social distancing was still an issue, or is everything gone?
Correct. So as I indicated, the governor initially laid out a two-phase plan. Beginning May 7th, all outdoor restrictions were lifted. That means social distancing, capacity limitations, things of that nature were all lifted. Yep. The second phase, which takes effect on May 28th, is indoor restrictions. So the capacity limitations and social distancing requirements go away for indoor restrictions. So as that pertains to City Hall, as you may recall, when the pandemic started, we measured out social distancing. We could have a capacity of 24 people in there. That goes away come May 28th. What the governor did initially lay out as part of his plan was the masking mandate to be lifted either July 1st or when Minnesota reached 70% vaccination rate for Minnesota adults. What has transpired since that point, which was beginning of May, is as I indicated, the governor has moved that and is lifting the mask mandate, or lifted the mask mandate as of last Friday. So all relative issues regarding masking, social distancing, and capacity limitations, in some way, shape, or form, all of them will be lifted May 28th.
That was a long ways to get to that answer, but
All right.
So my question is, so we could pack that room with no social distancing and no masks, based on what I think I just heard.
Correct.
That's a little frightening. I don't know how we control that. Well, maybe we can't. I don't know. We can't make any more restrictive requirements above and beyond what the governor comes up with. I'm suspecting. So
No, the governor's actions, it does indicate that we have the ability to put our own mask mandates in place. Cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul have done so and carried that on. But community of our size, we don't have the public health department or staff to be able to provide you with the guidance that you would need to make policy decisions.
So
I'd also like to say, just add to, and Brad, you just brought up the fact that, local government jurisdictions can develop their own policies, whatever. And I don't think we should do that, in my opinion, but we can do that. But I do want to say this. I also think if we decide to go to face-to-face meetings, I also think we need to have also the remote possibility, the remote opportunity for everybody.
I agree.
For meetings. I think that we can look at the data over the last year and a half. It just provides an opportunity for our citizens to become engaged and to participate and to know what's going on. And I think that needs to be ongoing. Virus, no virus, or whatever. I think that's one thing that we probably learned throughout this whole pandemic. So I would say, face to face, okay, and everybody, as Zach said, has a personal choice about how they handle that. And Mr. Mayor, I really do believe that I agree with you totally that we need to try to be as cautious as possible. But we also, I strongly want to urge us to continue with the remote opportunity for those that do not want to attend or cannot attend or whatever, where they can participate in the city of Baxter government and process.
okay, thank you.
Just a clarification on that. Are you talking about citizens and meeting attendees being able to remote, or are you talking about council members being able to remote?
Well, I think either or. I mean, I think it's the opportunity. I just want to have the opportunity there for everybody. I don't want to say here's a guideline for the council. Here's a guideline for the citizens. I think everybody needs to make their personal choices and decisions. What is best for them, depending upon what health conditions they have, depending upon the significance of underlying conditions they may or may not have. But also, this other point is about allowing counselors or citizens the opportunity to still have the remote opportunity to attend meetings. So by state law, and correct me if I'm wrong, any of you or Brad or whoever, by state law, any elected official can currently attend meetings remotely, period, as I understand it. So Mark, to answer your question, for anybody, I hope that answers your question.
And I would just to clarify, Councilmember Ward, your comment is there are provisions under the emergency peacetime declaration to meet in a virtual format. There is an outline in the statute that does talk about outside the peacetime, and we have to follow those things. We had a brief conversation about that at the beginning of the pandemic, and we'll put together or find that documentation and bring it back to talk about council, because there are some improvements that would need to be done in the council chambers if we are to continue to broadcast like YouTube or virtually. That there will be some audio visual improvements that will need to be made, but we'll dust that off and get that to the council and have that for a future council discussion.
Let me just throw this out. I don't know if we have any, I'm going back to my packed room again, but if we have any public hearings coming up, or I know we're going to start bringing neighbors in and whatnot, but for those that want to be there, a little nervous, do we have the right to limit the number and have 2 meetings? I know that's double work for council and staff. Just throw that out. Is that an option to keep those numbers down and say, there's a couple of options here, if that would make people feel safer or whatever, versus 30, 40, 50 people, breathing on each other in the summer. And I don't know, maybe we don't have anything coming up for a few months. We don't have to worry about it.
Well, it's been a item of discussion, especially for the Foley Road project. We've been talking about that and how we entertain and get public comment during COVID and having those restrictions. So we've been talking about that internally. If the direction from the council is try to stretch that out so we can manage the number of people at any given point in time, we'll continue to work down that path. But we would look for your insight as to what you're comfortable with. We don't need to make that decision today, but we can, when we go to set the dates, we can have that general discussion.
Yeah.
And
So,
take it on a case by case basis.
I'm assuming that if the council comes back in, we're in our assigned chairs, we're not distancing from each other, and we're back to normal. Is that what
Correct.
All right, so what do you want from us tonight?
Just looking for consensus. It looks like it's there. The one thing that I would ask is with the effective date of the lifting of the indoor restrictions being Friday the 28th, can we say that beginning June 1st, all city meetings will be in person? Is that a fair statement? I only ask that question as, we do have to do notification. And in some cases, if there's a public hearing, we have to publish that several days in advance. So just looking for consensus that this will be effective June 1st.
Kind of looks like it, I guess.
I'm just going to toss out there too that if there are concerns, I don't know that there's any reason we can't say that council members would be spaced apart from each other or something like that. If that is a concern at all for many of the council members, I'm not saying you have to sit super close to me if you don't want to.
I can't remember who I sit by, so I've got to think that over, but.
Well, at least all of you have a chair. I don't even know where I go.
Oh, we'll find you a place, all right, buddy.
I imagine.
Mayor, I believe I have the direction that I needed. I appreciate the council and the discussion, and we'll proceed with the directive that's been provided.
Okie dokie. So, are you done then, Brad, or?
Yes, Mayor, I am.
Okay, city attorney?
I think we need a motion to go into close to look at some purchase agreement or acquisition of land issues.
All right. Motion to go into closed.
Motion to go into closed.
Motion by Cross,
Second.
second Ward. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Lucio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Anybody listening or watching, we will come back into open after the closed session and report anything if there's something to report. We'll be back. Okay, we're back into open. City Attorney?
Yeah, just to summarize what happened in closed session, council just had some consensus for feedback to staff to keep working on negotiating with the county, but no final action at this time.
Okay, very good. Anything else we need to talk about before we adjourn here? Look for a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Motion by Abbott,
Second.
second by Cross. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Abbott,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Have a good week, people. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, everyone.